Hello everyone and welcome to today's video. Today we have some news out of the state of Georgia where Democrat Michael Thurmond has officially launched his 2026 campaign for governor of Georgia. Now, the article from AP talks about how Democrat Michael Thurmond on Wednesday officially announced his 2026 bid for Georgia governor, seeking to add the state's top office to his long list of positions that he has held. Thurmond said in an interview on Tuesday that he's going to fight for the people of Georgia every day, but is also pitching himself as someone who could bridge racial and political divides to become the first Democrat to win the state's top office in over 28 years. Thurmond promised to be a leader who will focus on everyday issues that most Georgians are concerned about, like the cost of groceries or rent, or paying the mortgage, access to health care, and quite frankly ending divisiveness that has prevented us from progressing more in this state. The 72-year-old Thurmond joins a Democratic field that already consists of State Senator Jason Estefes, former Atlanta Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms, and others who are seeking their party's nomination in an attempt to succeed Republican Governor Brian Kemp, who cannot run again after 2 terms due to term limit per Georgia's constitution. Thurmond is one of the only 3 black people to win election to statewide office in Georgia, serving 3 terms as labor commissioner after winning election in 1998. He was also the first black state legislator from his hometown of Athens since Reconstruction when elected in 1986. Like all other currently declared Democrat candidates, Thurmond is now seeking to become Georgia's first black governor. When Thurmond tried to run for Senate in 2010, he lost badly to incumbent Republican Senator Johnny Isakson, running significantly behind Democratic gubernatorial candidate Roy Barnes that year. Thurmond most recently served 2 terms as the elected CEO of DeKalb County, an Atlanta suburb that had $150 million in the bank when he left office. Before that, he was credited with stabilizing the DeKalb County school system as interim superintendent after its accreditation agency threatened to strip its seal of approval, citing financial mismanagement, school board dysfunction, and nepotism. Thurmond also oversaw welfare reform as director of Georgia's Division of Family and Children Services in the mid-1990s after he gave up his state house seat to make an unsuccessful run for Congress in 1992. Thurmond is a lawyer, and he has written multiple books on Georgia history. "I bring a record of service and accomplishment," he said. "I, throughout my career, never shied away from taking on tough jobs." Both Bottoms and Estevez have showcased plans to oppose what they see as wrong-headed policies put forth by President Donald Trump, appealing to Democratic partisans who are fearful and angry. Thurmond says he too is a fighter, but frames it differently. He says, "It's not fighting Trump," he said. "I'm going to fight for the Georgia residents." Some Democrats are also calling for a generational turnover in leadership, a trend that's clearly apparent among the primary opponents of longtime U.S. Representative David Scott. After more than 4 decades in politics, Thurmond said he believes a track record of success will be more important. "The number one concern of the Democrats I talk to is that they want a candidate who can win." Thurmond is the youngest of 9 children born to a sharecropper. He was class of president of Athens all-black high school when it was consolidated with a historically all-white school in 1970. Thurmond has said that until then he knew few white people, but as a co-student body president, had to learn how to deal with others. He said as part of his path to victory is to pursue the better angels of voters in the same way that got him elected labor commissioner. "It's not a hypothetical for me. I've seen it with my own eyes. I've experienced it," Thurmond said, and consequently, I come into this race with great faith in this state and the people of Georgia. This story has been corrected to show Thurmond was the first elected labor commissioner in 1998, not 2010, and the article from the AP comes from Jeff Amy. Now, this is a very interesting news out of the state of Georgia, and Michael Thurmond's entry to this race really adds to a very interesting race that's underway in the state, where, as the article mentioned, Governor Brian Kemp is term limited and cannot seek another term. Now, Brian Kemp won a very impressive victory back in 2022, where he won re-election against Democrat Stacey Abrams by 7.5%. But then back in 2018, we saw Stacey Abrams and Brian Kemp, and the first time they faced off in a very close race, Kemp winning by 1.4% against Abrams. So that was a very, very close election that Stacey Abrams came very close to winning. Now, without Brian Kemp at the top of the ticket in 2026, Democrats are once again feeling optimistic about trying to win the state of Georgia. And especially, it's worth noting, not only will Georgia, the governor's race, be up, but the Senate race will also be up for U.S. Senator Jon Ossoff. And how that race goes could also be very important for the governor's race, that maybe if Jon Ossoff does better than expected, maybe that may have some down ballot effects for a governor as well. So this is a very fascinating race to watch. Now, it's worth noting on the Republican side, the top two candidates are Georgia Attorney General Chris Carr and Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones. Ken Yasgur, a member of the Georgia Army National Guard, is also in the race. But certainly Chris Carr and Burt Jones are the two most notable candidates right now. Only one poll from back in September of 2023 showed Burt Jones leading by 9 points over Chris Carr with 73% undecided. So this race is certainly wide open on the Republican side between Carr and Jones, and we'll have to wait and see how that all plays out before who we know will be the Republican nominee. Based on what I've seen in electoral results, I would say Chris Carr has a better chance at winning the general election than Burt Jones, but again, the difference between the two probably isn't that drastic. On the Democratic side, things are going to get very interesting now. Mike Thurmond, being in this race, joins Keisha Lance Bottoms, Derek Jackson, Jason Estevez, and Oljumi Brown all running in this race to try and be the Democratic nominee to take on whoever the Republicans nominate. It should also be worth noting that governor nominee for the Democrats in 2018 and 2022, Stacey Abrams, has publicly expressed interest in maybe running for governor for a third time in Georgia. It also should be worth noting the former Republican Lieutenant Governor, Jeff Duncan, who just recently flipped his party registration to officially become a Democrat, has also publicly expressed interest in running for the governor's race as well. Jeff Duncan is someone that, if he became the Democratic nominee, being a former Republican, he would bring something that's very unique to elected office in the state of Georgia, of being able to get maybe some more disillusioned Republicans with the Make America Great Again direction of the Republican Party. Maybe that could be an added benefit to Jeff Duncan if he can coalesce Democratic support. Now, Van Johnson, the mayor of Savannah, is listed as a potential candidate as well. Two Democrats we know for sure, as of right now, that will not be running are Jason Carter, the grandson of former Governor and President Jimmy Carter, who was also the nominee for governor back in 2014, and U.S. Representative Lucy McBath, who was speculated to be a candidate for governor for a pretty long time, though I believe due to health reasons with her husband, as of now she has said she will not be campaigning for governor in 2026. That could be a situation to monitor, but for now, McBath does not seem like she is going to run. So how this Democratic primary plays out and what Stacey Abrams and Jeff Duncan's decisions are for this race could play a very important role here. Because I think Abrams would probably be able to excite the most Democratic voters and get Democrats most energized in this race after one very close race against Brian Kemp in 2018 and a kind of competitive race, but Brian Kemp won by a likely margin in 2022. Abrams is still a very popular name in a lot of Democratic circles. So much so that the early Democratic primary polling, only that one poll from 2023 is all we have, but it showed Stacey Abrams still started out with 52% of support compared to 34% who say they would want another Democrat. Now, this race from Cook Politico Report, Inside Elections, and Race to the White House, they're all listed as battleground or toss-up. In Sabado's Crystal Ball has it listed as lean Republican. Now, in 2024, as we know, it was a very close election in Georgia. Donald Trump defeated Kamala Harris by 50.7% to 48.5%, so about a 2.2% margin of victory for Trump versus Harris. Without a doubt, a pure battleground state, one of the closest states in the country in 2024. In DeKalb County right here, which voted for Harris over Trump, was an 82-17 county for Harris over Trump. So it is a large Democratic area and should turn out in big numbers for Michael Thurmond if he were to become the Democratic nominee in the governor's race. This is going to be a very close race to watch for, and you see the margins that President Trump got in this election, like in Fulton County, 72-27, where Harris won, but Trump was able to make up a few points in Fulton County. DeKalb County, Trump was actually able to make up a little bit of the margins there as well. Gwinnett County, 58-41, Henry, 65-35, and Newton, 57-42. In these areas, Cobb County, 57-42. These are going to be important areas to compare to when you look at what Joe Biden was able to do in 2020, where Joe Biden narrowly won by 0.2% against Donald Trump. And you look at Fulton County at plus 46.5, Cobb plus 14.3, Gwinnett 18.2, DeKalb 67.4. Looking at this map and the percentages that Biden got compared to the 2024 map could reveal if the Democrats win in the governor's race in Georgia. That'll be a very big indicator of how they may be able to do it based on the 2020 map. Should also be worth noting, we've seen two Senate elections now in the state of Georgia with Raphael Warnock and Herschel Walker that have also provided the Democrats a pretty big blueprint on how to win the state of Georgia as well. Now, the governor's race for right now, Georgia is one of 6 states I currently have in the toss-up ranking, and if I had to make a prediction at this current point in time, I do have it very narrowly in the lean Republican category, a little bit more than a 1.5% victory at this current point in time. But this is certainly going to be one of the closest governor's races to watch in the country, and I can't wait to see how it all unfolds. I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure to like and subscribe if you did. Leave a comment below, tell me your thoughts, and I hope to see you in a future video.